Hello, in this session I'm going to address the causes behind the instability in Iraq. What are the causes behind instability in Iraq? Why is it not peaceful? Why is it not secure? And what are the origins of the conflicts in Iraq? Why do we not have security? From where did it start? We're going to answer all those questions. A funny point associated with Iraq is that it's the Museum of Nations. They are calling Iraq to be the Museum of Nations, and actually this is true because we have many nations in Iraq. It's not just one nation. Definitely the problem of nationalities in the world is a lot. We have many nations in the world, and why is it important? Is because of the ideology of nationalism. Because every nation probably wants to be independent, and we know the importance of nationalism in the world related to, for example, nation states. It's a hub of numerous nations following Kurds, Arabs, Turkmens, Assyrians, as well as numerous religious groups as of Sunnis, Shiites, Yazidis, Christians, and all of them. Of course, Arabs are the vast majority in the country. One of the very main problems that Iraq has always been in conflict since its creation after 1920s and 30s. Because it used to be a part of the Ottoman Empire, is that it's compulsively constructed, irrespective of the intentions of who lived in the country, in a manner that met the economic and political interests of the superpowers of that area. This means that the creation of the country is associated with the fall of the Ottoman Empire, with the breakup of the Ottoman Empire. Because before its creation and before World War I, Ottoman Empire was the countries like Iraq, Jordan, Syria, Palestine, Saudi Arabia, they were all a part of the Ottoman Empire. And of course, Ottoman Empire lost the war in World War I, and such countries became independent following Woodrow Wilson's proposal, for example. And Iraq was one of those. But the problem is that the way Iraq was constructed, it was constructed irrespective of the intentions of the nations living in there. And that's why the country is still in problems, and it was created in a manner that met the political and economic interests of the superpowers of that era, for the UK, for example. And of course, we have such problems in the other parts in the Middle East as well. For example, Syria, because Iraq was under the British mandate and Syria was under the French mandate. And of course, we are witnessing the conflicts in Syria going on. So those various nations and groups have always caused clashes and challenges for the country known as an Arab state. Kurds, for example, located in the north part of Iraq, have permanently, since the creation of the country, challenged the Iraqi regime, and they want their own independence, and they got their autonomy, and a lot of clashes have come in the result of that. Since it's in appropriate formation, it never had a long-term political security and economic stability if we are to ignore the social aspects. It always hosted war, coup d'etat crisis, and conquered countries, or countries conquered. The conquered Kuwait, for example, in 1990s, tried to also take some parts of Iran in 1980s. It had been involved in an 8 years long war with Iran, for example. And of course, this gives us, again, another picture of the Middle East that we just explained in the previous session. Everyone wants self-determination. So if you are to ask those religious and ethnic entities in the country, probably everyone wants a country. So we have a number of countries inside one single country. Any ethnic or religious folk being asked about self-determination, they would reveal their keen on having a state, a region with permanent president and military. So we should wonder how come in such a non-homogeneous country can be security, stability, and peace? How can there be tolerance and peace and the embracement of diversity? Religious diversity, ethnic diversity, and other types as well. In a state where it's forcibly annexed, compulsively created and constructed, we should not be astonished that it will always remain divided And living together will be a serious challenge, and worse than all, external powers will have their role in it, because there are external agendas associated with the political parties' agendas inside the country. Any country that does not have unity and security, stability, will be subject for external interventions, and that's going to directly affect the sovereignty of the country, because unity is important. It's actually significant for every country. Each party, for example, is associated with a foreign agenda. In Iraq, occurs sectarian conflicts, Al-Qaeda emerges, ISIS appears. Each party is associated with a foreign agenda, and actually there are some propagandas that the Kurdistan region as well is involved here. A recognized US stand believes that Iran has always, from a perspective, been intervening in Iraq alongside bolstering different militias. Turkey can be a player in the country as well, and not to ignore the US, because we know that the country was invaded by the United States of America in 2003, and the United States does not want to leave it in a war that it's estimated that it costs $4 trillion. So security and stability for every country, like I indicated, is important. Lack of stability can ruin life, and the people pay huge prices in it. The toughest challenge of the series of the post-2003 governments have been in the provision of security and stability for the country. The region became, as a result, a stadium of civil war, the birth of terrorist groups, as well as the international interventions. We know that the Islamic State of Iraq, the ISIS, for example, in Iraq and Syria appeared in 2014, and it appeared from Iraq. And of course, that has to do with security vacuum. Terrorist groups, for example, mostly appear in those regions that do not have security and stability. We have the Sunnis and Shias, for example. They're both, they have the same ethnic origins, but they are quite different in religion, and of course, they fought a lot together. And of course, that has to do with foreign agendas. For example, Iran backs the Shias. So the Shias make the vast majority, and they grabbed power since 2003, and of course, they were isolated under Saddam Hussein's regime, because Saddam was from the Sunni part of the country. The Sunnis are seriously concerned for the loss of their power before the invasion, the US invasion, and they are dreaming of taking it back. And that's why, as a result, ISIS and Al-Qaeda appear from them. And thank you.